Welcome, this is Jim, host of the Faith Influencer podcast, where we're going to dive into discussions on faith's role in everyday life, from navigating blended families to overcoming challenges. I'm a husband, a father, a Bible teacher, an advocate for applying faith to everyday life. So tune in as I share personal stories, valuable insights, and practical wisdom. This is Jim Cunningham. Welcome back to Faith Influencer. This is part 2 of a 2-part series. Last time we jumped into some of the feedback we've been getting on some issues. In particular, we were dealing with the issues of attractiveness and how important that is in marriage. And so we're walking on that ground, and we're going to pick that back up again today.
My wife is a strong Russian. This is a perfect. She's from another part of the world, okay?
Right.
A Russian woman. Strong, right? The face, just like you will think that it is your time to meet the king. Like, it's you're done, right? And she would tell me all the time, you were saying that the lady was like, he's not a go-getter. My wife tells me all the time, I just praise God that I don't have a weak man. Because if I had a weak man, I couldn't do it. She'd be miserable. She would be miserable.
Yeah. Great point.
She may say and do and roll, but she would internally be miserable because that's not how she was designed.
So, in saying that, for the ladies who are listening, and you're getting, again, your feathers ruffled because of this conversation, how would you be if your husband stood out making a living and providing security, which, by the way, that might be a root cause, not that he's not a go-getter. It may be that makes you feel insecure. That may be the root cause of why that bothers you. But how would you feel instead of doing that if he's just sitting on the couch?
Right.
You're going to have an issue with that. It's perspective. We have different perspectives on this, where a guy might say, you know what, attractiveness is important to me. Physical looks is important to me. What about the guy who says, what do you think about this? What about the guy who says, well, you know, I kind of like that.
He likes
that maybe she's a little extra fluffy.
And listen, and that's the beauty of it all, Jim, right? It goes back to the attractiveness, right? That's what he finds attractive, right?
Yeah.
And in moderation, everything, it must be in moderation. So if he finds that attractive, that is okay. That is what you know what you're getting into, right? You were truthful in the beginning, right? And so sometimes the man straight out the gate, he's like, I like my woman a little fluffy. I like a little curve around the edges. And he's being truthful right out the gate. But why is it that we can't say that I don't like that?
Yes.
I don't want all of that. Well, okay, honey, then you're just not the man for me.
Yeah.
And that is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's a way to say it.
Right.
In truthfulness. It's like if your wife comes out and says, do you like, my wife and I have this conversation, and she will say, do you like this? And I will be honest with her. But you can do it in a way that's not offensive.
For sure. Like my wife, she'll make something, right? Some food or something like that. And she'll say, do you like this, right? Women do that all around the world. People do you like this? And I'll say, no, it could have used a little of this, a little of that, a little of this. But hey, listen, let's try something. Or we'll make fun of it. We'll say, man, listen, honey, this was terrible. And we'll start cracking up. This was terrible. You want to go get some Chick-fil-A? Listen, it was terrible, right? But if I didn't do that, and if I was like, yeah, man, she's gonna keep doing it.
Right. It's like we're playing a game when we do that.
Yes. She's gonna keep doing it. So she thinks that she's gonna keep doing it because she thinks that you like it.
Right.
I'm gonna make this whatever, and you're like, oh, slop again for But
So-
you like it though, right?
So are there those ladies out there who would say, I'd rather you lie about it?
There are ladies that say, I'd rather you lie about it. But that is a deeper issue.
And it's leading to deeper problems
Yes.
that will go unresolved, which is what we're trying to help you with, not to have unresolved issues in your marriage.
Right. That's a deeper problem. And that would be that's a different topic, right? Because you have, nowadays, young people, they see somebody who's just drop dead gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
And then the girl's like, oh, he's so fine. And they don't talk about the issues
Right.
that they need to talk about. We're boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. What's her relationship like with her father?
Right.
Is her mom crazy?
Right.
Oh, they just don't get along. Okay, dig into that.
Yeah.
You know, what's the relationship with the dad? What's the relationship with the mom? How's the family structure? You know, do they sit together at the dinner table? Things like that. Those things matter
Sure.
because they build upon each other.
Yeah.
To here we are, and then her saying, "Don't tell me," because she's got a deep trigger or trauma
Yeah.
and things of those things. And
How'd you like to have a
dig into
marriage
that.
built on a lie?
A marriage built on a lie.
I mean, how now again, I go back to the speak the truth in love that Paul says in Ephesians, but at the same time, there are ways to speak the truth. So I'll give you some advice here, guys. If your wife makes you biscuits and gravy, and I'm just saying that because I tend to lean that way. I really like that, by the way.
That's where the 70 pounds you need to lose.
That's what that lady said, wasn't it? Anyways, I don't think I responded to that one, but whatever. The guys, don't say it doesn't taste like mama's.
Oh, that's the worst thing you can say, Jim.
So there's a way to be honest, but there's a way not to respond as well. So be smart, guys, because guys sometimes are stupid.
Oh,
Be honest.
and men, a lot of men, some men, not all, but most men, you know, I'll put that like this disclaimer. They marry their moms.
That's what they're looking for.
They're marrying their mamas.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
woman is repulsed by that.
Yeah.
Because I can't keep up with your mama.
Right.
There's always friction.
Yeah.
And then you ask the question, does the mom and the daughter-in-law, how's their relationship? They're the same person.
Yeah.
You can't keep up with that. It's not like mama's. Mama didn't make it this way.
No.
You didn't marry your mama.
No, you can't go that direction.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I wonder what, let me ask you this, because this just was coming to my mind as we're going through this. I have an idea of what some of the ladies are thinking right now. By the way, here's my caveat. I know there's that few percent of you out there who maybe there's medical issues, or maybe you're going through some psychological issues, depression or whatever. And so I know there's that little caveat I want to throw in. But we're not talking to that 1%, to that few percent.
Right.
We recognize you, but we're not talking to that particular group, right? So I know because of the comments what some of the ladies are saying and feeling. Hopefully we're addressing this about the issue of honesty. What do you think? Okay, this is one of those questions I had for you. I just say it how you want to say it, okay? Because
Okay.
I'm really interested in your answer. You don't even know what I'm going to ask.
Okay.
What do you think the guys who are listening to this are doing right now?
They are saying yes. Yes. Yeah.
Kind of like they're afraid to say it out loud, maybe.
They're
Like
afraid to say it out loud, and then women's talking about with her bonnet on, talking about, what you just say? You know,
They're blonde.
that bonnet on, talking, what did you say? So you agree with that, huh? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and, well, there's a movement that's going on now, so it's kind of, I guess, anyway, that's to your point. They're saying yes. They agree.
Yeah.
And hopefully, the hope is that it incites conversation in the home.
Exactly.
Have a reset button. Talk about the things. You know, honey, you do this. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you liked my. You know.
Right. Right.
Well, I thought you liked my. No.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
tired.
Well, if you have a spouse that you can't talk to because they're instantly going to put their guard up,
Right.
become defensive, and that's going to happen. I know that some of you ladies, in your response, that's your instant response is to get defensive.
Right.
And if your spouse brings this up, you're going to get defensive. So I'm addressing the guy. What happens if your wife is that way? Well, listen, our marriages are so important, and honesty is such a foundation. I always say, if you can't work that out, you have to get with someone, a Christian counselor, someone to sit down with and help walk through this.
Right.
And if you're not married, but you're pre-marriage, premarital couple, and you want to deal with these issues so that you don't carry them into marriage, premarital counseling is so important. Sit down with someone
Yes.
who's been through this. That's why I wanted you to come today, because of the different age perspective.
Right. And that is very important, because if you are getting defensive, right, where there is a root, there's the fruit. You ever heard of that phrase?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's fruit, there's a root.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're hearing this right now, right, ladies, and you're just repulsed by what we're saying, stop and think about, why am I feeling this way? And this is a perfect time to have that conversation with your spouse, significant other, or what have you, because there is something there that you really need to navigate.
Right.
You really need to navigate it. And I have a great example of this with my wife.
Okay.
We were engaged, and she had her wedding dress, and she was gonna take it to someone to get it hemmed up, someone from church, right? And I said, honey, you should probably get a couple of different opinions, right? This person had a price. She was going to pretty significant pinpoint, but the lady didn't really know what she was doing. But my wife had it set in her, she, at the time, my fiance, she had it set in her mind. She was going to tell me that this is what she was doing, and that was it. And I was asking questions like, hey, but does that make sense though? Well, no, it makes sense. This is what people do. This is how it happens. This is the way it goes. And she was gonna die on that hill. And I stopped, and this is so funny because I was at that point, I was on base. I was on some orders, and I was a couple hours out of town. But so we had to have this conversation from FaceTime. Okay. And I stopped the conversation, and I said, I'm not talking to my fiance, who's 20-something years old, 26 years old. I'm talking to a 7-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And I was. And she was just like, you could see the shift and the change, because I love you. Let's talk about this. This isn't about a dress. This isn't about it getting all hemmed up or whatever. This is something deeper than that. And we were able to talk about that. And I'm saying to myself, I'm talking to this 7-year-old girl who did what? And it was dad. You know, well, because sometimes I would say this or that, and my dad would, and her dad's passed away now, but and my dad would say these things, or he would raise his voice, and so I would feel that you were yelling or something like that, and we were able to walk through that.
Yeah.
And we don't have that problem anymore. And this was before we even got married.
But that's the honesty. Sometimes maybe a wife needs to say, I hear what you're saying, but it sort of stops my ears when you use that tone. Got to be honest like that. Got to be able to talk like that. Your tone is affecting me hearing what you're saying.
Right.
And why? Well, it may come back. My dad always used a tone with my mother, and I hated it.
Yes.
Dealing with issues. I want to say something to the men here. You can jump on board here as we wind this up here. But so, guys, your wife is in alignment with what we're talking about. She wants both of you to be strong in your marriage. She's trying. She's working on this. So many guys out there are so, I'm looking for a nice word, numb in the head that they don't even recognize her. They don't compliment her. They don't notice that she's working. They don't notice that she's made some changes.
Right.
They don't say, "Baby, look at you. That dress looks fabulous on you." So guys, don't make her go somewhere else for compliments. You're the one to recognize it and make her feel good about that.
That is spot on. If you don't do it, someone else will.
Correct.
And in this society where girls nowadays and how families and dads and moms let their girls go outside, right? This is a different setting. Someone's gonna grab your man's attention.
Mm-hmm.
Visual, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother topic.
It is.
Oh, what are your daughters going outside in?
Mm-hmm.
Boys, this is a topic as well. What are your boys going outside in? Visual, right? Because women are that as well. They're looking at certain things, right? Are your pants tight? What are your shorts too? What's going on there? What are you trying to accomplish, right? And so in the marriage, husbands are not aloof to these things. They're saying, "Oh, I can't get this from my wife, so somebody's gonna compliment me."
Right.
Or wives, if they are in the workplace, right? You ever heard the term work husbands?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Wives are going to work, and it's like, hey, what's going on? Well, nothing. But well, so this is going on. And it's like, oh well, I think you're pretty, Janice.
Right.
Oh, did you get your hair done? Well, yeah, but
right.
Stuff like that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
she needs that.
She
needs to hear that.
Needs that.
But from her husband.
From her husband. But like you said, sometimes men have checked out already.
Yeah.
And someone told me this, and they were saying this. I couldn't put this any better. Don't exchange your quarter for a dime.
That's good.
Don't leave your house for a hotel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ultimately, when you build that trust, when you have that love in the relationship and in the marriage, and you can sit back and you say, this is ultimately, right? Because based off of what I find attractive is different from what you find attractive. You mentioned how the guy that likes he likes them curves and all, he likes all that, right? Well, here's the thing. I have to say that's what I want, and that's what I love, and you're mine, and just stick by that.
Yeah. So let me say this. Let me say that as you've listened to this, you're thinking, boy, I wish we could have these kind of conversations at home. Some of you are thinking that. There's stuff I've wanted to say, and I just don't feel the freedom to say it. So I understand. That's why we're talking about this, that kind of honesty. Maybe you just plug in this podcast for your spouse. Maybe just say, I've heard this interesting podcast. I want you to listen to it. And you listen to it together. Let him or her throw the shots that they want to throw, but at least let them hear it. So we're trying to be real here and cover some issues. And we're going to continue to do this. So as we have our podcast talk about blended family issues, and especially when we get lots of responses on some, then we're going to follow it up doing this type of format. And so I'm so grateful that you were here today, Nathan.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. This has been fun. We are, as they used to say, walking on ground angels fear to walk on, because it's a sensitive subject.
Talk about it.
But you got to talk about it, and so we're trying to be honest and helpful to you. So I am very interested in your responses. I'm sure you will give them. They don't always have to be positive. You don't have to see it like we see it.
Yeah.
Respond. Go in the comments. Put your comments. We can handle it. We may talk about it later in a future podcast and try to address it. But go ahead and give us your comments. Like what we're doing. Keep following. We love that you're tuning in to Faith Influencer, and it's our goal to build a strong family. Yes.
Jim,
Go ahead.
I got one more thing.
Do it.
One more bonus thing
Yes.
here.
Yes.
So, with husbands and wives talking about the attractiveness, right?
Mhm.
And they start looking outside, or whatever. People that are healthy and that are doing it right, or seeking to do it right,
Mhm.
they'll say this. It's like, you know what? Ask themselves, could I find a prettier wife? Could I find a more handsome husband? I could, right? I could, right? There's so many things that can make a person pretty, plastic surgery, all the things, right? But will that person do the things for me that my spouse does?
Mm-hmm.
Answer's no.
No. Yeah. Amen. Amen. That's good.
You're high maintenance.
So, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And no one else would do it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. Think about living with that ongoing. So, we will wrap it up today. Thank you for joining us on Faith Influencer. Look forward to seeing you next time.